Now loading Grow Up Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 13th episode of Bro Off Radio, the podcast where everything's made up and the points don't matter. I made that up myself. That didn't come from anything.
I'm sure we've already had an episode start with that.
I'm pretty sure we have too.
Well, you know, they've already had a Whose Line Is It Anyway, but it's back on TV again, so fuck it.
Yeah, well, here's where we do this. Redo. What's up, everybody? 13th episode of Bro Off Radio podcast, where we recycle old content and use it again.
Wonderful.
Basically like our last 3 streams.
And this is where we believe in recycling.
Yes.
Yes, this is where we contribute to the environment through
That's right.
verbalage. I'm your host, Rhett, a.k.a. Tim Sinkin, joined as always by my fellow bro operatives, Jesse, Chase, and Ian, otherwise known as Jay Gatsby, Super 64, and Justice, respectfully. How you guys doing?
All right.
Doing good.
What are you doing? I'm still talking, and you're talking like right in the middle of me.
What?
All right, moving on. We're off to just a roaring start, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I mentioned before, this is our 13th episode. We got a few topics on the plan for tonight, as usual. I don't even know why I say that. What we're going to talk about tonight is the DC movies that's come out recently, such as The Killing Joke and The Suicide Squad. Actually, that's it. It's just those 2 movies. Metal Gear. The newest Metal Gear game has been announced by Konami, and we're not happy about it, but we'll tell you why shortly.
I love it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you've expressed how much you love it.
Yes, Ian will let you know how much he loves the idea of this whole new Metal Gear game that's coming out, but we'll get to that shortly. And then we're going to wrap up the podcast with some World of Warcraft news. If you guys haven't caught on by now, we love us some WoW, and there's been a lot going on in the World of Warcraft lately, this month in general, and we're going to talk about all that good stuff. Really excited about that. So before we actually move on into anything, I have a quick note I just want to make real fast. I don't know how many of our listeners actually listen to our podcast through iTunes or off our Podomatic podcasting host. Anybody who does, you may have noticed the last couple episodes are absent. That's because I've run into a little bit of a hosting issue with them, trying to get all that sorted out. However, we are still live on Twitch, as our current listeners right now are experiencing, and our episodes are always available later on in a short manner on YouTube. So you can always check it out on our Twitch, twitch.tv/BroOpLive, if you want to watch the episode live, and then check it out on YouTube later at youtube.com/BroOpGames. So we're always available that way. Just bear with me while I try to get the hosting situation figured out. And with that said, we'll move on to Jesse for comments.
Okay, wonderful. So we don't have quite as many comments as usual just because of some transitions, as we're going to discuss here in a second. Our last video that we had out was our Saints Row 4 episode, where we played Chase and I played as Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Something that we've been wanting to play Saints Row 4 for a while, and we had that idea while we were playing Dead Rising 3, I think it was. So we finally put that first episode out. So let's take a look at some of these comments that we had there. ERA Birdie, or Layer Birdie, however that's pronounced, says, please more, I love this shit. Vegeta, Mighty Prince of the Saiyan Rate, says, great as always, really love the smooth swaps and transitions between Hillary and Trump at the beginning. Thanks so much. Only One Dan said, well, you did say you wanted to build a wall around space.
I did.
Stefan Schneller says, that was amazing, especially the ending. Trump jump. Simon Arkle says, I enjoyed watching the streams and love the editing stills going into these YouTube releases. Thanks again for such good content. Thank you so much. Let's see. Michael Lauer says, are they going to be simulated Mexicans too? We usually get a lot of comments of just people quoting some of the bits that they appreciated. So if you're not already doing that, we would love to hear what your favorite parts of our videos are. Aiden Felgermaker says, you guys are amazing. I have faith that this channel is going to blow up. Keep being awesome, bro operatives. Now, the rest of these comments scattered about are mostly the same. As people being, hey, Starbound 1.0 is out, if you didn't know. Hey, did you guys know Starbound 1.0 is out? 1.0 is done. And then finally, once people realized that we knew 1.0 was out, they were responding to our other uploads by going, we wanted more Starbound! So, in response to that, yes, we know that Starbound 1.0 is out. We, as a matter of fact, streamed it for quite a long time on the first day. And since then, I've personally just been displaced. I was in the process of getting a whole lot of stuff taken care of on my end. I'm adjusting to new employment and things like that, and I'm staying really busy. But that day, we got a lot of footage recorded, and there is an episode of that coming out. If you want to see a sneak peek of that, it's on our Facebook and on our Twitter. And if it takes a whole lot longer, you can expect more sneak peeks. That's one thing I like doing, is just letting you guys know that we're still working on it instead of giving you the valve soon. But that's the biggest thing that I wanted to mention outside of this one more comment. Dr. Dolphin Rider wants to let us know in regards to Starbound Episode 4 from last season. I'm Asian, and I can confirm that that is how we pronounced fuck you.
I knew it.
But as always, thank you guys for your patience. I feel like as we get more popular, we are going to get a whole bunch of comments that are just like, where's the next Starbound? We want more Starbound. Just always remember that we play a lot of games. You know, our channel's co-op focused, but we do recognize that Starbound is our most popular thing and that it got us a lot of subscribers, so you can expect us to keep playing it. Like, until we absolutely burn ourselves out on it, and we haven't played it in a bit, so I don't expect that to happen for a while.
What we have been doing, though, I'll go ahead and mention this, is on Sundays we have been streaming World of Warcraft. Been going through the different expansions. We've already went through Vanilla, Burning Crusade, and Wrath of the Lich King. That's the last one we did, right? Yeah, because we got Kata next. So, yeah, so tomorrow, today's Saturday. Yes, sorry, lost track of time. Tomorrow we'll be streaming some Cataclysm. I don't know what time we're getting started on that just yet. Usually it's around 1, but I know last week we did 12.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll sort that out, and as always, watch the Twitter for announcements regarding that.
Yeah, of course, if you're listening to this episode in the future, just you've already missed it. So, sorry. But for our live listeners, just
If you're listening
stay
to it
tuned
in
with
the
us.
future, build a time machine, go back, watch it.
It's been a lot of fun. We stream it for a few hours. We just run through the content. So far, it's been really easy because we're all max level players and we're just one-shotting everything. If it's going to start getting into the point where it's going to become a little bit of a challenge, but that probably won't be the case until Mists, maybe Warlords. So we'll figure it out. But that's been a lot of fun. That's what we've been doing lately. And then I'm sure once all that wraps up, the guys will get it back around to Starbound just as soon as they can. So we'll keep that coming out. Other than that, I don't think there's really been a whole lot of anything else going on with Bro Up in general since the last episode, besides the streams and whatnot. I haven't done anything of interest lately. If you guys don't have anything to add, we'll just go right into the episode.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Boring, sad fucks, but we're going to build back up some steam and get some more content out of you guys.
Yes, absolutely. Because we love our fan base. So,
Love is
so
a
moving
strong
around
word. Tolerate. No, I love you guys.
we tolerate our fan base, just as our fan base tolerates us. So we have a toleration base. More so
we have a healthy toleration of each other's bullshit.
That's how it goes. But we'll go ahead and kick right into the episode, starting off with the DC movies. DC, I don't have the dates in front of me, so I can't tell you when any of this stuff was released. It's all out. It came out since the last episode, so go check it out if you have it. I will go ahead and preface this by saying a large amount of this whole episode is going to be spoiler-filled, especially the movie reviews and when we get to the Warcraft stuff. Obviously, there's not a whole lot to say about Metal Gear, but we'll say what we can. So if you guys aren't interested in any spoilers with The Killing Joke, Suicide Squad, or the new World of Warcraft stuff, we'll see you next time. So just come back and check us out later. But if everyone's okay with that, we'll go ahead and get started. The first DC movie we're going to talk about is Batman the Killing Joke. It's a direct-to-DVD, Blu-ray animated adaptation of the graphic novel, popular graphic novel. Anybody want to start this off? I think this is the one we've all seen. So anybody got any just immediate thoughts about the Killing Joke?
It was okay.
All right, so we're moving right on to Suicide Squad.
It's okay.
We'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Rep.
I was just going to say, I'll go ahead and just talk about the elephant in the room here. Overall, I really liked it. That's kind of jumping ahead. I really liked it. But the main gripe everyone seems to be having with it is the fact that there's a good 30 minutes or so at the very beginning of the movie that was just added that was not in the original graphic novel. Because past that 30 minutes, best I could tell, if memory serves me correctly, the movie was almost scene by scene just accurate with the graphic novel counterpart. But there was a Barbara Gordon backstory that was added to the very beginning of it that a lot of people just really disliked, and I felt like it was kind of unnecessary and uncalled for. I don't know if they did it just to give her some more backstory leading into it, because previously, I think her only involvement in the graphic novel is literally getting shot by the Joker and paralyzed, right? Like that's it, honestly.
It's the inciting incident, but yeah, that's a big thing. And it's weird because there's a lot of talk about fridged women and women just being used to further the plot of like the male character. But even though a whole lot didn't come of that directly in the comic, that was a huge moment for DC Comics, and she ended up remaining paralyzed in canon and going on to become an incredibly influential character even as a paralyzed character. Just not a lot of that was seen in the original graphic novel, but it was a huge thing back when it happened.
Yeah, see, like that's where my mindset is. Like, they had to add something to the movie because The Killing Joke wasn't long enough to make a full movie out of. They had to have done something, but them giving Barbara a little bit more of a backstory to make her eventual getting shot makes sense. The route they went doesn't. Because that part of Barbara Gordon's backstory is already arguably like her lowest point. Her just being like you said, like a tool to extend the story for the men. Yeah, essentially. That was pretty much already what she was, and then making her pine over Bruce for the entire first 30 minutes of the movie, and ending up with her having sex with Bruce was very unnecessary, and honestly, in my opinion, made the whole thing worse. Now, again, like you said, after the first 30 minutes, it's almost a scene-by-scene recreation. Fantastic. Mark Hamill did a fantastic job doing those lines that I've always wanted to hear him do. And it was all in all a good movie after that first 30 minutes. But that first 30 minutes put a really, really bad taste in my mouth for the rest of the movie.
Go ahead, Chase.
I was going to say, I guess I'm in the minority here. Of course, I'll go ahead and say I don't know near as much about Batman lore or comics as the other three guys here. I learned most of what I know from them because I'm not big on comics. But the first 30 minutes weren't real bothersome to me as far as backstory. Like, I was just like, okay, I mean, this is why these things are happening. Okay, that's all right. But I've heard a lot of people say that it's their favorite Batman animated movie to date, and that they would absolutely watch it again and again and again. And I'm not in that boat. Like the movie didn't suck. It wasn't bad. I really wish I hadn't spent $13 to see it in the theater, though.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I'm glad I pirated it.
I liked it a whole lot because, like I said, after that whole first 30 minutes, it is pretty accurate with the graphic novel, and the graphic novel I've always really, really enjoyed. I think it depends on what perspective you watch it from, though, because if you are a fan of Batman and you have read the graphic novel before, I think you'll really enjoy it. A problem I've ran into with some people that's seen it that aren't familiar with the original graphic novel is the ending. Everyone's like, yeah, it just built up this whole story, and it was really good. Then it just ended with them laughing, and that was stupid. And I'm like, that's kind of the point, because the way I've always understood it, and my take on the whole thing was, the ending's really kind of left up to your imagination because it never confirms how it actually ends. But I've always assumed that's where Batman actually kills the Joker, a.k.a. the Killing Joke, because the animated movie did it just like the comic book did. Joker's laughing, he tells a joke, really stupid joke, starts laughing, Batman starts laughing with him. You see Batman put his hands on his shoulders, on Joker's shoulders, and then the camera kind of pans off, and Batman's the only one left laughing. And that's what I've always took from it, because I've always considered the Killing Joke I've considered parts of it canon, but overall just a non-canon story.
It's loose canon.
Yeah,
it's a loose canon story.
Yeah, loose canon is a term I really like for it. And to be honest, you'd be surprised at how many people get heated about that interpretation. Because I remember, so there was a podcast where Grant Morrison was on the Fat Man on Batman podcast where he was talking to Kevin Smith, and Grant Morrison was talking about his interpretation of that, and he was just like, well, Batman kills the Joker at the end of that, and and Kevin Smith was like, I've never picked up on that interpretation, but meanwhile I'm listening to it going, well, yeah, that's what fucking happens. Did you read it? But then I talked to a friend later, and my friend was furious. Like, he was furious about that, and he was just like, no, that's not what happens. Batman doesn't kill people. And it's just like, it was a graphic novel. It wasn't originally canon. Like, it was written as a side story with a strong ending. Because that's the thing. When you've had those like side story publications, you can do things you couldn't get away with in the canon. But then they made it canon, so it doesn't have to make perfect fucking sense. Like, they did it retroactively. So like, a lot of people get real dick twisted about that. But I personally think that's what happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the title of. I think that's the title of the book and movie is The Killing Joke, and that's how it ends, with The Killing Joke. That's what I've always took from it, because the Joker tells a joke and then Batman kills him. That's what I've always gathered.
It's interesting you bring that up, because I didn't catch on to that either. I thought I was one of the people that was just like, what the fuck was that? I was just like, I was waiting for like an after credit scene. I was like, why are these idiots laughing at this dumbass joke? Is it done?
Well, before I say anything, Ian, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say that, yeah. I mean, I've always taken that story as that fact that he kills the Joker at the end, and I've even heard some people say before that there were like original scripts and stuff for it, where they even had a snapping sound effect, like on the like third to last panel where the Joker stops laughing, and that's supposed to represent him just finally just breaking the neck, and that's the way I've always took it. It's pretty much. It's pretty much, in my opinion, the ultimate Batman versus Joker story, because it finishes the story.
Yeah.
But with them making it loose cannon like it is now, that's obviously not what happens. He doesn't kill him. He can't. But originally, the way it was originally written, I strongly believe he killed the Joker at the end.
Yeah.
Well, my take on The Killing Joke is this. Largely the whole book is non-canon. The killing of the Joker's origin story. I mean, all that's in there too. I don't take any of that as canon. I don't take the book itself as canon. What I feel like happened is there's such a strong moment with Barbara getting shot and paralyzed that, in the main comic book canon, they were like, okay, that's actually a really strong moment. So let's just kind of like let that happen within this story, and we'll flash back to it, throughout history and whatever, and let that be a canon part. But that's pretty much it, because to my memory, I can't think of much else that came from The Killing Joke that's considered canon now in the comic books, besides her getting shot. And she doesn't even become Oracle in The Killing Joke; she just gets paralyzed. But she becomes Oracle in the animated film, actually, because there is a scene where it shows her like going to her new secret computer room and all that sort of stuff. So, but I mean, I just take it as like an alternate Batman story, and it's really good. I mean, I've always enjoyed the graphic novel, and I really like the movie too.
And I started to derail from what we were talking about, so I'll hold it in case. What were you going to say, Chase?
I just wanted to ask a question. I didn't know that it was, I guess, a graphic novel and not part of the main series.
That's how it started.
Yeah, so I was confused. Like, I thought in The Killing Joke that Gordon was supposed to find out that Bruce had trained Barbara to be Batgirl this whole time. And then after she gets shot due to basically being Batgirl, that I thought that's when it put a wedge between Bruce and Gordon.
No, I don't think that's where anything like that happens.
Okay, see, I kept expecting that, and then it never happened.
There are panels of that are from other like Elseworld stories, and I bet you expected that to be in there.
Okay.
That immediately, like, I might be way off base, but that immediately like reminds me of the episode from the animated series.
Oh, that episode's so good.
Oh, it really is.
It's one of the best.
From like the original like 90s animated series. I don't know what the name of the episode is, but there is kind of I know it's later into the show because it's after you have Tim Drake as Robin and all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of like a what if where Barbara gets killed by Scarecrow. Gordon finds out she's Batgirl, and then he just launches this all-out
manhunt against the entire Bat family as a result.
Yeah,
the episode
really
is called Over the Edge.
That's right, Over the Edge. So just a little homework for you guys listening. If you haven't watched Over the Edge, please do so because it's a fantastic episode. And you can watch it by itself. You don't have to watch any episodes before it. I mean, that's the way most of the animated series was set up, but it's a great episode. Go check it out. You'll love it. We promise. Getting back to the Killing Joke. So, I mean, yeah, just to wrap this up, I thought it was a very well-done animated adaptation. I can see where people not familiar with the graphic novel would have issues with it, but for someone like us who are familiar with the graphic novel, I thought it was very well done. Still don't agree with the first 30 minutes because I don't even feel like that really added anything to the movie for me personally. But I mean, it's only the first half hour. I mean, there's some cool scenes in it. I guess just overall it's useless, but the whole movie I enjoyed pretty well. So.
Well, sure, yeah.
Are we gonna rate it or just go on?
Nah, we'll just go on. It's just a direct. We'll just. You guys consider it a watch or no? We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Pirate it.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of person that can't sit down and read a graphic novel, then yeah, I feel like you do owe yourself to watch it as a Batman fan. But if you're the kind of person that can sit down and read a graphic novel, I feel like the art of the original it surpasses the film because they did their best to make it line up with it, but the art of the original has such crazy classic colored work to it that I feel like it's worth just reading through.
Yeah, and if you're the kind of person who wants a better Batman film, watch Under the Red Hood.
There you go.
But that's just me.
I mean, personally, if we're gonna give personal, just better animated Batman films, Under the Red Hood and Mask of the Phantasm, I'd have to put both of those over. Like, those are my top 2 favorite Batman animated films. So,
yeah.
And also, I'll go ahead and say this because Ian kind of touched on it earlier. Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, phenomenal jobs in this film. It was especially awesome hearing Mark Hamill do the Killing Joker dialogue finally. So that was awesome. That's also.
I will say that this was probably the darkest Mark Hamill we've ever heard, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Rhett, did you see it in theaters?
No, I watched it after it came out.
Okay. Well, when you guys watched it, did it have that little like interview with Mark Hamill before it, or was that theaters only?
I didn't see that.
Okay, I guess it was a theaters only thing. Well, if you can find that, maybe on YouTube or somewhere, he talks about that in that interview. He's just like, he's like, everyone plays the Joker a different way. He's like, every Joker is just a little bit different, but he's like, this is the darkest one I've ever done. And he was just like, it was a blast to see him in this lot. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's great to see him come back and do it, especially when Arkham City was supposed to be his last Joker outing, but he talks about that in the interview.
Yeah, he does.
Sweet. I have to check that out then. I guess I should backtrack and kind of correct myself because this was in all intents and purposes, a direct-to-DVD Blu-ray movie, but it did have a very limited theatrical run right before it came out on DVD and Blu-ray. So just to correct myself on that because I did announce this as a direct-to-DVD and Blu-ray movie. But we'll wrap up Killing Joke and go straight into Suicide Squad. Jesse, you have not seen Suicide Squad yet, and you're wanting to withhold spoilers.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to do just what I would ask any other fan to do anytime that we go into material you don't want spoiled, and that's I'm going to dip out for a little bit and come back later. So you guys enjoy yourselves, and see you in a second.
Yes, we'll catch back up with Jesse here momentarily after we get done with the Suicide Squad talk. Chase, you two have not seen it yet, but you're not as concerned with the spoilers as Jesse is. So
absolutely not.
If anything, maybe you'll have some questions that me and Ian can answer along the way.
Yeah, that's
I don't feel like we're going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this. Suicide Squad, theatrical film.
You see, that is where I kind of differentiate with you. I would love to talk about this movie for a while because of my feelings about this movie, but I know we don't have to. Is the thing.
I mean, by all means, talk. If you got something, I mean, if you want to kick this thing off, go ahead and we'll just go from that.
Well, like, I don't know, like, this movie was very strange to me because, like, with Batman vs. Superman, I went into Batman vs. Superman kind of expecting it to be bad, but hoping it was good, and did not get that hope answered. Like, it was, in my opinion, if y'all have seen the podcast where I talked about Batman vs. Superman, was not happy with the movie. This movie I went into thinking it had the capability of being better than Batman vs. Superman, but was not expecting it to. Like, I was just like, this movie is probably going to be about the same. And was pleasantly surprised. I highly enjoyed the movie. Had a lot of the same issues as Batman vs. Superman did. Had a lot of the same problems, like, especially earlier in. But those problems, it did better, if that makes sense. Like I feel like the pacing was strange in the beginning of the movie, just like Batman vs. Superman. But the pacing was, even though it was strange and hard to, like, some scenes were shorter than they should have been, where some scenes were longer than they should have been, it was still interesting to me. Whereas Batman vs. Superman was just like, it was boring for the first, like, hour. And it was just not exciting. But this movie, like, yeah, there was a lot going on. It was like the first, like, hour and a half. Honestly, the whole movie really was like snap, 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 going. There was a whole lot going on pretty much the entire movie. And a lot of people can have issues with that because they're like, oh, the pacing's bad. And I'll agree that's not great pacing, but at least it was all interesting to me. Everything that was going on was still like, oh, that's kind of neat. You know, I'm kind of excited about this. There's action going on. Hey, there's Batman. Hey, there's Deadshot. Hey, there's the Joker. Like, it was neat. And I don't think they could have really done it any other way. Like, a lot of people complain about the origin scenes for the characters because it shows, like, each character, it showed like a short little, like, scene of them doing something, and they're like, oh, that's just them, like, having to shoehorn all these characters in there. And I was like, I think it was kind of cool. Like, we see a couple different cameos doing those. We see Batman doing Deadshots. We see the Flash doing Captain Boomerangs, and I thought that was really cool. So, I mean, all in all, I highly enjoyed the movie. I don't know. Like, it was a lot of the things that Batman vs. Superman did wrong, it did too. It just didn't do them as wrong. And the biggest concern I would have with the movie, the biggest problem I would have with the movie, I think we share the same sentiment, was the story was a little lackluster.
Sucked.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it sucked. I didn't mind the story. I know that is where we differentiate there. But I didn't mind the story, but it could have been better. I actually kind of liked the bad guy. I know a lot of people disliked the bad guy, but I thought it was kind of neat how it starts with her being, like, it leads you into the movie believing, oh, she's one of the team members, but nah, they kill her.
Well, I mean,
kind of.
We're this is spoiler filled, so the main bad guy is Enchantress. She ends up becoming the main villain at the end of the film. Me and my brother agree on a lot of things. The current DC cinematic universe is not one of them, as it would seem. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was pretty good, or good anyway. I don't know if pretty good is the word, but I enjoyed it for the most part. I did not, however, like it more than BVS, which, if you guys, going back to that episode that Ian was just referencing, if you go back to our podcast about that, I really enjoyed BVS. I actually just watched the extended cut the other night, and I enjoyed it more then. But Suicide Squad was good. It was a fun ride. I liked the main Suicide Squad cast. I really liked Will Smith as Deadshot. I liked Margot Robbie as Harley. I thought she did a really good job, actually. And then everyone else on this team was kind of lesser-known actors, but I thought they played their roles really well. Killer Croc I had a little bit of an issue with because he's not – I'm used to Killer Croc being just this man-eating, savage, just beast, kind of like the Arkham version from the Arkham games. And he was definitely way more chill in this film than what I'm used to. But overall, I was still okay with it. I lost my train of thought there. But the story was very bland. I didn't care for the story at all. It felt very anticlimactic to me. It felt like kind of confusing a little bit as to what they were actually doing during parts of it and what was going on. So I thought the story was not that great, but overall I enjoyed the casting, I enjoyed the characters. Now, the big topic about this movie kind of going into it that everyone was curious about was the new Joker. Of course, we got Jared Leto playing Joker now. Got met with some pretty mixed to negative reactions from a lot of people when he first got revealed, with the tattoos and everything. So we're really curious to see how this Joker was going to play out. And that was one of the things I was most excited about going to watch. I don't know how to describe how I feel about Jared Leto's Joker because I liked it, but something's just not clicking with me. I don't know what it is. I've only seen the movie once, so I can't really comment on it right now. I feel like if I've seen it 2 or 3, at least another time, I'll be able to have more thoughts on it. But like, it was good, but at the same time, not. I don't know how. It just didn't click with me. Ian, how did you feel about Jared Leto's Joker?
I think he had to step away.
Oh, okay.
I actually have just returned. Sorry. Jared Leto's Joker. I actually got mixed feelings about Jared Leto as the Joker. I don't think we saw enough out of him, really, to really make a 100% decision on him. I liked some of it, and I disliked some of it. Same thing with Harley Quinn. I actually did like Margaret Robbie as Harley Quinn, but I feel like they could have cut like half of her Harley jokes, and it wouldn't have been as forced, if that makes sense. And the same thing with the Joker. Like, I liked part of it, but some of it I was kind of about. And I'll have to see him in a full feature length Joker movie to actually get a real feel of the Joker, because he was in the movie for like a maximum of 7 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and isn't he like totally pissed off about that?
I think I don't know.
I've seen some headlines and stuff. I haven't really read into it, but I've seen some headlines saying that at first he was really mad about the amount of Joker content that got cut out of the final product. And then I saw something that seemed to contradict that, because it says he hasn't even seen the theatrical version yet. So I don't know. And then now I'm seeing stuff saying he thinks he's tricked into playing Joker. So I don't know what that means. I hadn't read into it. I don't know how faithful or how sourceful these articles are. But, I mean, I'll say this. I do want to see more of him, because I agree with you, Ian. I feel like I haven't seen enough to really have a full opinion on it, because what I saw I liked, but at the same time something just was missing, and I don't know what that is, and I want to see more. And I will say probably my favorite parts about the Suicide Squad movie, my favorite scenes, were the Batman cameos, just because I really enjoyed seeing Batfleck interact with these characters. You know, the Deadshot interaction was pretty cool. You know, seeing Batfleck and Will Smith face off for a moment, that was kind of neat. Oh, they didn't really face off, but just kind of interact. Yeah, was kind of neat. And then I really want to see more of him chasing down the Joker, chasing down Harley, all that sort of stuff, because there wasn't any just direct Joker to Batman confrontation. You know, there was Batman to Harley, just a little bit of it, but you didn't see, because that whole thing took place with the Joker and Harley in a car, and Batman was chasing them, and then at one point he was on top of the car, and then by the time he catches up to them, basically they have a wreck. But by the time he interacts with either one of them, Joker's gone. He's nowhere to be seen, and Harley's the only one left behind. And that's when she gets captured and put into which facility are they at in Suicide Squad?
Rev.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I do want to see that. I did enjoy the cameos. I liked the Flash cameo. He was only there for a second, but I wasn't expecting that at all, and so I did enjoy that. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed the film. It was a good film. It had better. It was less. What's the word I'm looking for here? There was less Zack Snyder in this film, and that's a good thing, because that's like the problem that I think the DC universe is having right now. I think that's the problem with Man of Steel, and the problem with BVS is Zack Snyder's involvement. And from what I understand, I don't think Warner Brothers are very happy with the direction that their movies are going right now, and they have reason to be like that, because they're kind of underperforming, you know, in all regards. So I think Zack Snyder's getting phased out of it, which is great. And he didn't have as much involvement with Suicide Squad as he has in the past movies. So I think it showed. I think you could tell there was a little bit. Now, who's the name of the director for this one? David Ayers?
I think so.
Yeah, like whoever. His direction wasn't great by no means, because this movie was kind of just all over the place with different things. But either way, I think if you get rid of Snyder, I think that's a bonus. So that's a step moving forward. And I don't think he has a whole lot to do with the Justice League coming out. I think he originally did, but I think he's getting phased out of it. But we'll check that. We'll get back to that later. But overall, I mean, Suicide Squad was pretty good. It was a good watch. I didn't like it as much as BVS. Ian liked it more. Take that with a grain of salt. Just whatever. Take it however you want to.
I will put it this way. I liked it more. I definitely liked it more than BVS, and definitely liked it more than Man of Steel. My favorite DC movie to date is the Dark Knight, the second of the Nolan Batman movies, and I will say that this was just barely below it in my opinion. At first,
Wow.
I thought it could be a little bit better, but I'm gonna have to rewatch Suicide Squad a couple more times before I can say that. But for now, I'm just gonna say, yeah, it's my second favorite by far.
Wow,
I can't think of another DC movie that I would put as close to Suicide.
That's pretty high praise then. So I'll put it this way: if anybody listened to that previous podcast we had about BVS, if you kind of agreed more towards Ian, then go watch this film because you'll probably love it. If you kind of agreed more towards me, still go watch the film because you'll probably enjoy it. So either way, that's a watch. We're all saying watch.
I think it's a watch. Yeah,
it's a watch. Chase, was there any kind of questions or any interests or anything about Suicide Squad that you had?
Well, tell me about the Batman scenes. Like how much was he in it?
he
Just
was
cameos.
Yeah, his was just cameos. There were a couple of different flashback scenes. There was a scene where we get to see Deadshot getting arrested, and it was Batman that handled that.
Yeah.
And then there's another scene where we see the Batman chasing after Joker and Harley in the purple Lamborghini, and
Yeah, it had that purple Lamborghini lurking too, dude.
it was lurking. But but there's that scene, and that scene ends with them wrecking, like falling into the water, and Batman jumps in to like help them. Joker's already gone, so he grabs Harley and like resuscitates her, and Harley tries to like bite his tongue off. She's crazy. I loved it. But
let's touch on something real fast though, because that kind of reminded me of something. Let's touch on the Joker Harley relationship in this film because
it's really weird.
It is really weird because, like you said, they wrecked in the flashback, and Joker was already gone, and Harley had flown through the windshield halfway and was just kind of floating in the water. And that seems like something Joker would do. He'd just leave her behind and, hey, you catch up whenever you can. That seems like Joker from the animated series and the TV, the Joker I'm used to, seems like something he would do. However, from that point forward, Joker was like obsessed with getting Harley back. Like that's like his whole involvement with the movie is to get her back. And I mean, he's pretty obsessed with Harley in this film in general.
I would say that's probably my biggest issue with the movie personally. Was that I personally think they try to romanticize the story between the Joker and Harley Quinn a little too much, and I think that's a bad idea because their relationship's not a relationship that should be romanticized.
Right, I know, I agree. Because what I'm used to is Harley being just gaga over Joker, worships the ground he walks on, follows him around like a lost puppy, and then Joker just is like tolerates her and then uses her for personal matters. Yeah, a meat shield, and then for like when he needs, that you know what I'm saying. So
he wants to ravish Harley.
yeah. So he uses her as a meat shield, and then like sex, basically. That's kind of what I'm used to him. A relationship of him having with Harley, but in this film he's very obsessed with her. Like when the scene with Common when he's playing, which I just now realized was Tattooed Man just a couple of days ago, in the club when she's dancing, like Joker's just fixed on her, just watching her, will not take his eyes off of her, and like the guy tries to shake his hand, and the dude's like, "No, he doesn't do that," and he's just not paying attention, and then he finally does, and then offers Harley to him. He's like, "No, man, I don't want your girl." And he's like, "Oh, is she not good enough for you?" And then kills him. But he's just like really just obsessed over Harley. It's weird. It's kind of a weird obsession that I'm not used to. But I don't know. That kind of goes back into, my theory up until now was that this Joker was not the original Joker. It was a former Robin. But Ian, you pointed out to me the other day that in Harley's background, when it's showing some little tidbits of information, it says that she blames herself, or she takes credit for the death of Robin.
Responsibility.
Yeah, which that could be like that could be more of like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a red herring. Well, I was gonna say like, maybe not the actual physical death of Dick Grayson or Tim Drake or whoever, but the death of Robin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking too far into it. I still don't. Like, to me, if it gets revealed that the Jared Leto's Joker is a former Robin, it would just make way more sense to me than if this is just the original Joker of this universe. And I still hope it works out to be like that, but I'm not sure at this point.
The only confusing thing about that, though, is if he did turn out to be a different Joker is the fact that we do see the origin scene with Harley and the Joker and all that stuff now. And it would be weird for her to have been involved in Robin's death and then that Robin somehow become a Joker. You see what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah, that doesn't make sense then. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there has been multiple Robins, so this Joker could be like Dick Grayson, and then they could have killed like Jason Todd or something.
Maybe,
so.
but I hope not. Like, I would be cool. I would be cool with it being like Jason as the Joker or something like that.
Mhm.
But don't mess with my boy Dick, man. Don't mess with.
Well, you know about Dark Knight Strikes Back, right? Or
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Strikes Again, where Dick Grayson's Robin. Oh, I'm sorry, Dick Grayson's Joker.
Yeah.
And they took obviously a lot of inspiration from BVS from Dark Knight Returns. So it wouldn't surprise me. So I don't. I know you have like a big man crush on Dick Grayson. So
I love me some Dick. So
yeah, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Ian loves him some Dick. So that's going to be the new
Love it.
hashtag going in for the rest of the podcast. That being said, I guess we can go ahead and wrap up Suicide Squad. We recommend watching it. I don't think you'll hate it by any means. You'll either just kind of slightly enjoy it or enjoy the hell out of it like Ian did. That's honestly my opinion on it. So we'll go ahead and get Jesse back in here, and we'll move on to our next topic.
all right, we'll take
So
a quick little break while he.
just a quick little just a couple moments here while we wait on Jesse. In the meantime, I will go ahead and advertise my new weekly series on Pornhub called A Night Out with
my cock out.
my cock out.
All right. How'd it go?
Hey, welcome back, Jesse. Welcome back. So we've wrapped up the DC movies. We're going to just walk straight into Metal Gear Survive. Ian, I know, has some awesome opinions about this. Just a little backstory. Konami has finally came out in the last week and revealed their new installment in the Metal Gear franchise in a game titled Metal Gear Survive. Ian, please indulge us with your honest to God thoughts about Metal Gear Survive, because we are all eager and waiting, and just go ahead.
All right. Well, it was about 6 a.m. the other day, and I was sitting here on the computer just chilling, and I saw someone post a Facebook status about Metal Gear Survive, and I was just like, oh, what's that? Let me go check that out. So I decided to jump on the old reliable YouTube and type in Metal Gear Survive, and I watched the trailer, and it starts out kind of interesting. We see a random soldier from MSF from Mother Base watching Boss and Kaz fly away on their helicopter, and everything's on fire. And I was like, all right, this is kind of interesting. We're seeing this from a different perspective and everything like that. Then all of a sudden, a wormhole opens in the sky, and Mother Base gets lifted out of the ocean into this wormhole. And I'm like, all right, this is getting pretty fucked. Let's see what happens. So then the dude lands, and he's in this middle of this big desert, and I'm like, all right, what's going on? And then crystal zombies show up and start kicking the dude's ass, and random other people from other base show up and like help save him with like Resident Evil style bow and arrows. And then they're like, oh, it's a survival game with zombies, and there's going to be at least one Metal Gear. And I'm just like, okay, so if we had just taken out the whole opening scene with Mother Base and then taken out where it says Metal Gear Survive at the end, I would have been, none the wiser that this was not a Resident Evil game. This looks like a Resident Evil game, but it's... God damn it, though, does it got Metal Gear on the title? Oh, my God, man. I watched the trailer and was immediately fucking furious. I was mad. I was not happy. Then I watched Yang Ye's reaction to it, which is a YouTuber that I think we've talked about in our podcast before. Me and Red have talked about him, at least. He's a big-time Metal Gear podcaster. He talks about tons of different theories and stuff like that. And his was his honest-to-God reaction, and it was, dude, he was almost crying in his reaction. He was just like, no, please, no, like, don't do this to us. And that's the way it is, man. Like, it's There's not no words.
Well, let me jump in then. So when I was trying to get a picture, by the way, sorry for not having a Suicide Squad picture up. I forgot to do that. But like, while I was getting a picture from this trailer to put up for the viewers, the one that I found was labeled "Well, time to kill myself." But you know, like I know a lot of people were curious where Konami was going to go with the Metal Gear franchise, as I've been in this situation before where, like, you know, a story that I like gets dragged in a direction that it is so, like, contradictory to what I've grown to expect, that it kind of feels like somebody's dug my dead grandpa up and is playing fucking dance party with his corpse. Like, and so, like, I know we were all sort of, like, expecting, like, oh, what are they going to do with Metal Gear Solid now that it's not Kojima's baby? What are we going to do with this? And we're just, like, cautiously optimistic. Like, maybe it'll just be, like, for example, I know we talked about, maybe it'll just be a remake of the original Metal Gear. Like, how could they fuck that up? Just make a remake of the original Metal Gear. And then this trailer starts playing, and it's immediately just like, what the fuck are they doing?
See, that was me too. Like, whenever they said they were going to continue Metal Gear without Kojima, I was just like, don't think that's a good idea, but let's see what they do. Maybe, like you said, maybe it'll be a Metal Gear 1 and 2 remake. Maybe they'll go back and, rehash all the old games, but make them more better and stuff like that. I don't know. That's what I was hoping for. That's definitely not what we're fucking getting. What we're getting is a goddamn cash grab. That's all we're fucking getting. Like, I legitimately think that this game that they are putting out was not a Metal Gear game to begin. I legitimately think that this was a game that they were a new IP that they were about to start, and then they're like, we did just get Metal Gear completely Kojima free. Why don't we just throw some Metal Gear on this and get some of that money?
Yeah, and it'll work, because that's something that we talked about previously, day one, because, I had just gotten up, and I got a message, I had barely watched the trailer, and I got a message from Justice, and he's just like, fucking goddamn Konami will not get another cent of my money.
That's legitimately how I feel. It has gotten to the point where I was already pissed. I've been pissed off at Konami just because of the shit they did with Kojima and with Castlevania and all that shit. I've been pissed off with Konami, but I've been giving them the benefit of the doubt here. But after this bullshit, I don't care how hyped I am for a game. If it has Konami in the credits, I will not spend a cent on it.
Yeah. And I know that's something we talked about, is that there are a lot of people that say that, but they're going to buy it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's another thing I wanted to address was, people, if you're not happy with this, and clearly you're not, because this video has almost 100,000 ratings on it, almost 80,000 of them are negative. People aren't happy about this, but people are going to buy it. If you're not happy about it, don't fucking buy it, because people always get into the mindset of, oh, well, I'm just one person, and me buying or not buying the game isn't going to affect the grand scheme of things. But that's everyone's mindset. Yeah. And if everyone thinks that, then everyone's going to end up buying the game, and that's going to continue having Konami like, oh, this is all good. We can keep making shitty ass Metal Gear games. But if you don't buy the fucking game, they will change their ways. If they're not making money, they won't do it.
And I know
I feel like... Go ahead.
I want to hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I feel like the guy in the trailer represents Metal Gear Solid fans. Okay, so MSF was Metal Gear Solid 5. The full game. And he was already like, well, this day kind of sucks already. So the place gets blown up, shit's on fire, your boss is flying off, and he's just like, well, it's alright, we had a good run. And then he gets sucked into this bullshit, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Let me draw a comparison.
Okay.
As to what this trailer is like. Okay, so you're walking down the street with your best friend, okay? And you're sitting there reminiscing, and you're like, man, we've had some good times. You remember that time, and you remember that time, and your best friend's like, yeah, we've had some rocky roads, but overall it's been a very enjoyable experience. And you're like, yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. All of a sudden, these dudes come out, drag your friend out in the street, and start murdering him. And you're just like, oh my god, this is terrible. Like, what does the future hold? That's what this trailer was. That's essentially what this trailer was.
What does the future hold?
Yeah.
And then, like,
you're watching them get murdered, and you're like, oh my god, there's no future in this no more. At least not what I want to see. So.
I think a better little comparison here is them beating the shit out of them, killing them, and then they start like strapping on like metal arms and metal legs and turning him to like a mecha friend. And like, this isn't the friend I wanted.
No, they kill your friend and they look at you and they're like, we're your friend now.
Exactly, and like the general gamer consensus is, well, I need a friend. Like, so I guess you're my friend now. And
oh my god,
making excuses for it.
So I share pretty much all the same opinions about this as Ian does. Where Ian's just like furious about this, I'm like, I think I'm bottling it because I think I'm going to explode later. Because right now I'm just like, this. I dreamed this. Like, this is not real. This is a troll. They're just trolling us. That's not a real thing. No, it is a real thing. It's the next installment. God damn, I hate even saying these words. It's the next installment in the Metal Gear franchise. I told Ian the other day, we were having supper, and I said, Metal Gear died with Kojima. Well, Kojima's not dead, but Kojima leaving, like Metal Gear, if it doesn't have Kojima on the cover, to me, it's almost like not a true Metal Gear game. Mm-hmm. So I was talking about like my collection, because I make a habit of trying to collect all the Metal Gear games and the games in general that I can. And I was like, this is going to hurt my collection because I don't want to buy this game, but if I want to keep collecting Metal Gear, I'll have to. And then that kind of hit me. I was like, well, no, I can just stop it at the Kojima collection because that's the collection anyway. Anything from here on out doesn't count really. At least I don't consider it to.
Yeah, like. That's kind of my mindset about it too. In my opinion, this game isn't Metal Gear Survive. This game's just Survive. Like I don't want to refer to it as Metal Gear. I'm not going to. Like it's just this is just a disaster.
No.
And a little bit more has come out recently, like just about the game in general. Like Konami has talked about it a little bit more. A couple of things they've said that noise we hear at the end of the trailer is a Metal Gear. Like, how the fuck is it a zombie Metal Gear? Like,
to go ahead and play devil's advocate, like this is very clearly not a main series game. Like,
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and I could sort of feel that winding up in you. But like it's titled Metal Gear Survive with emphasis on the V, and it opens up with events from Metal Gear Solid 5. So this is very clearly like this sort of like alternate timeline thing.
Yeah, it's already been said to be a companion game to Metal Gear Solid 5, and it's not going to be a full-priced retail game, much like Ground Zeroes was. But this seems like DLC to me. Like this seems like something you would like a DLC. Extra mode pack. Yeah, like a zombie mode DLC pack for Metal Gear Solid 5, but they're like, and maybe that's what it'll end up being, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's just sort of why I wanted to bring that up, was that, I know that does infuriate and enrage a lot of people, myself included, realistically. But if they are going to continue with Metal Gear Solid games in any way, this is still just a side game, and I wouldn't be any more likely to buy this than Metal Gear Acid.
Well, and I can understand that, but I think this is kind of where me and Ian's coming from. Konami has
one job.
Well, no. They had one chance to make a first impression to say, we can do this without Kojima. We can continue the series, and we can show you guys what we can do. This is not how you impress us. This is not the first thing you show us to impress us.
That was going to be pretty much my response to that too. I mean, we've had things like Metal Gear Acid before and Metal Gear Rising and stuff like that that people can argue, oh, that's not Metal Gear either. But those were clearly like spin-offs. Even though this is too. Konami, coming out of the whole relationship between Konami and Kojima and all of that stuff happening, people are already pissed off at Konami. Konami knows this. Like, freaking, what's his name, that the Video Game Awards calling them out and shit like that. Like, they should know. Yeah, Jeff Keighley calling them out like that, they should fucking know that people are mad at them. So in my opinion, what they should have done is they should have had like their first off, we shouldn't be seeing Metal Gear personally, because it's been less than a year since fucking Phantom Pain came out. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but
I think it's been over a year.
Has it? Well, it came out last year, is all I know. And it shouldn't, I don't think we should be getting anything else about Metal Gear yet. But since they are going ahead putting out Metal Gear, what it should have been was them being like, oh, fucking, y'all remember Zanzibar? Well, we're remaking it, sons of bitches. So like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, you know. Why don't you call in David Hayter and do some 3D next-gen new version of Metal Gears 1 and 2, that will get people on your side, because that's kind of cool. You've already got the story. You don't have to fuck it up.
Like, shit, I would play a game that was a next-gen version of Metal Gear with all the original poorly translated dialogue and just David Hayter voice acting it as is. Like, I would play that. But, like, you're right.
In a heartbeat.
Like, that's something that we had discussed, absolutely, is that, you know, like, that wasn't the first step that they should have taken. And I feel like a lot of this is sort of, and I'm not making excuses for Konami at all. This is an explanation that I feel like that this is sort of the result of that, like, corporate push of, like, every game company has to be like, oh, we've got to have yearly releases. We've got to push out the next thing with the next big title. We've got to do it. We've got to do it now. And, like, so I think that gets in the way of, like, logical reasoning, and that's how we wind up where we are. Of course, my oversimplified explanation is this is the same kind of, like, detached ass thinking we get from other Japanese developers that we've seen, like Nintendo and things like that, where, like, it's just like, how are you not living in the same world we're living in? Like, I don't
wake up in the morning and, like, not see all these fucking comments on your video and not just be like, no, we're doing good things here. Like, this is we've got 78,780 dislikes. This is the way we should be doing this.
Yeah, we'll prove them wrong. They'll see.
Yeah.
I'll say this about it at least. Like, if you've seen the podcast episode where we talk about Metal Gear Solid 5, you already know how I feel about that game. Like, okay, after playing 5 and then just seeing this trailer, I'm not any madder at this trailer than I was at 5. Because to me, 5's not a Metal Gear Solid game. You can argue with me all damn day long that game's not a Metal Gear Solid game.
I'm not going to argue with you, but I will say that's also Konami's fault, though. Like,
yes, definitely. Like, I'm not trying to excuse anything they've ever done. Like, they're full of shit. But like this game, or 5, is just as much not a Metal Gear Solid game as Survive will be.
I see where you're coming from with that, but I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with you, because I mean, 5 did for the most part feel like a Metal Gear Solid game. Because I mean, it did fill in like at least one gap between a couple of games there, and but I see where you're coming from. I understand that, but this is like way off base. Like, this is not even like remotely. Like, at least 5 still had to do with the main Metal Gear story. This is just alternate zombie verse.
See, and that's another thing I will say about like Rising. You can't say the same thing about Acid, because it specifically was a side story, like was not canon, nothing like that. But like with Rising still had something to do with the main story. Like, it still had, it was still in the same universe and was going on and stuff like that. Whereas this is like some alternate reality bullshit. Like,
well, that's why you got to look at this as it's literally a spin-off game. It's not main series. It's just a spin-off. Like, it sucks. I agree. I won't play it. I won't buy it. The only way I'll get it is if it's like super cheap as hell on Steam someday. But, like, it's just a spin-off. That's all it is.
And I think it was the wrong foot forward, but I think that they did it on purpose. Like, I feel like that this is an experimental title in one way. Like it's their way of testing the waters, albeit you really don't need to be testing the water by sticking your scrotum in it first. But, like, that's sort of how it seems to be going right now, is that they're like, okay, so how you feel about this? And, like, it's like, what? No! So, you know, obviously it's still going to come out, but maybe the next thing will be like, oh, okay, we heard that you want your Metal Gear games to have Snake in them. Like, is that true? We heard that Crystal Zombies have no place in the franchise. Okay.
I don't know.
Like, I don't. 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 Like
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's how you can pretty much sum up mine and Ian's interpretation of this. It's just.
Instead of them using this to gauge whether, oh, hey, next time you guys want Snake in, okay, we got you. If anything, this game will cause them to go, see, we told you Metal Gear sucks. We're not making another one.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pulling the plug. Like let it die.
Yeah, I mean, at least it has a spot. I mean, it could honestly be cut off. I mean, yeah, we can argue that 5 wasn't complete. Actually, there's no point in arguing that 5 wasn't complete. There's a whole chapter missing from it, which instead of that chapter, we're getting zombies. But at least, it did fill in like that one gap between like Metal Gear Solid 3 and the first Metal Gear or whatever in terms of like explaining Phantom, Big Boss, all that. Anyway, I mean, you can stop Metal Gear where it's at and get the whole story for the most, basically. So I would be okay with them pulling the plug. I was fine with that. I was hoping that's what they would do, honestly. I mean, unless they give us Chapter 3 or something, I just was hoping they didn't do anything with it moving forward.
Yeah.
But they are in the form of co-op survival zombies.
Yeah. At least you can look forward to this. I think I already told Ian this. But, the only reason this game is coming out is because they still have their hands on Fox Engine 4 or whatever the newest Fox engine is. Once they're done with that, they're not going to develop another engine to make more Metal Gear spin-offs.
Not unless it makes pachinko machines.
Yeah, there's no way, because they don't have the money or the talent. So,
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this. I haven't a goddamn fuck clue what the hell Death Stranding's about. I'm way more interested in that than I am with Metal Gear Survive. I watched the teaser trailer for Death Stranding. I'm like, it's Kojima. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I'll give it a shot. I watched the trailer for Survive, and I'm just like, no, I'm out of work. I can't handle this. I can't do this.
I'm out of work. I'm sick.
Yeah.
Well, that's something else, too, is that usually the pre-rendered trailer is a whole bunch of fucking bullshit to make you excited about what all you're going to be able to do, and then half of that's not even in the game. This didn't even do that.
There's a comment on the video right here that this guy, pretty much gives you a step-by-step of what the trailer was. It was, reuse cutscene and assets from Metal Gear Solid 5. Aliens. Generic Inception wubs. Aliens. A shot of cast of heroes with a light behind them. Aliens. Aliens. A zoom in on a unique weapon being fired into the enemy. A rising camera shot with heroes looking at the camera before cutting to black. Konami being proud about putting their name on this. And aliens.
I don't know about you guys. Well, go ahead, Jesse.
I think the only thing I was even remotely excited about with it at first was the fact that it does appear to be framed as a co-op multiplayer game, but then I actually watched the rest of the trailer and I was just like, but who cares?
There are if what you people are interested in are co-op survival games for that matter, there are options out there already that are worth trying out. Yeah. Don't wait on this horse shit. Don't even. You know what? I don't even know if I can continue. I think we're done.
Yeah,
with this topic. So I think
is your rage finally starting to come out, Rex?
Maybe. I got us to do it, though, because we're fixing to jump into awesome shit, which is World of Warcraft. So, just swapping from one topic straight into another, World of Warcraft Legion drops at the end of the month. You guys know that we're all super fucking excited about this expansion. This is easily the most excited I've been for an expansion ever in the history of anything. And Blizzard's already in full preparation, getting everybody or they're already in full gear, getting everybody prepared for
getting everybody
Legion,
lubed up.
Getting everybody lubed up because they're fixing to fist it. So, they started this thing off with the pre-patch, which came out 2 weeks ago, I think. Like I said, I don't have the dates in front of me, so I'm not sure. But the pre-patch basically added a whole new transmog system, which is fantastic. What else did the pre-patch do besides transmog? Somebody help me out here.
Invasions?
No, that wasn't pre-patch. That was because I'm talking about the first pre-patch where it came up with the new transmog system. That was really about it, right?
Well, the talents already changed at that point.
I
don't know if I jumped straight in playing the pre-patch. I didn't really.
No, yeah.
The talents were new, the class changes were done, and transmog system. That was all that came.
Right. Yeah, they did change the classes and everything. So, that was all the pre-patch. And the what?
And the glyphs got changed.
And the glyphs got changed. Yeah. And they opened one portcullis to Karazhan Crypts, only to put another one in the way.
Just opened the other one within a week. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, not a whole lot to say about the pre-patch. The pre-patch itself, other than the transmog system now is the best it's ever been. It's fucking great. The way it works now is your character can actually go to the transmographer, and when you click on the transmographer, you actually have options. Basically, every piece of gear that you've ever picked up that can be used as a transmog with that character in that class is available to you. Or at least most of them, anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not entirely true. If it's a plate wearer, like even though plate wearers can wear mail, if they pick up mail, it does not go into your collection.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, if it's
It has to be specifically what your character uses.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to like say to begin with. But that's really awesome. So there's no more of making sure you have the item, going to farm. I mean, all that sort of stuff. I mean, you don't have to actually even have the item in your bag no more to use it. You can, once it's in your collection, you can sell that shit and get rid of it. So it frees up so much more bag space. It's in your collection forever, and you can just go back and forth and just change it out as often as you want. And it's really awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad they finally did this, because it makes transmogging just way easier now than it ever was.
And I can ditch a lot of bullshit that was in my bank, because I had a whole lot of just neat looking items. I was like, that looks really fucking cool, but I'm never going to use it. And I just held on to it, and now that's all on my transmog, so I can just throw it away.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, obviously there are some limitations, which, like Chase was saying, even if you get like if you get like a sweet gear, like a sweet plate gear with somebody, and that particular character doesn't use it, and it's not going to get added to your collections because that character does not use plate, so you're not going to be able to use that on your other characters. Now there are like bind on account gear and stuff like that will get added to your collections that can be used across your characters, but for the most part you will have to collect these items per character individually. But once you have it, it's there in your collection if it's the appropriate gear spec and everything. So
something else that's really cool about that is that you can save whole transmog sets. That's something I really appreciate, because I went ahead and busted my butt to get a couple of whole sets of transmog gear, and now I've just got that saved so that whenever I get new actual equipment pieces, I just go to the transmog and automatically just hit apply and change it all the way I want to make it look.
Another really, really cool thing about the new transmog system is that you can also apply transmogs to specs.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And to give you an example, my Fire Mage uses the flaming hooded skull, the red one. If I got the blue one, I could make it where whenever I was my Fire Mage, I was the red flaming skull, and whenever I went Frost Mage, I was the blue flaming skull. And I think that's really neat too, like how you can just set them to specific specs.
I will probably tinker with the same thing down the road.
Yeah, I haven't even messed with that yet, because I usually don't even swap out my specs, but that is still just a really awesome option to have. So
yeah.
But other than that, the pre-patch itself didn't offer a whole lot. I mean, I know I kind of tinkered with the transmog just pretty much by itself for a couple of days, because I was really impressed with it. But the pre-patch itself didn't really offer a whole lot. I'll tell you what it did do, because it did reset the classes. It gave me an excellent chance to jump back onto my Warlock, which I hadn't played in years, because it kind of sucked getting used to my class I was already used to with my Shaman and Hunter. But like I said, my Warlock I hadn't played in years, and when I tried to come back to it a couple of years ago, it was just really confusing and kind of hard to jump back into. So since the class is reset, it was the perfect opportunity for me to do so. And I leveled him up to 100, so that was pretty cool. I'm glad that happened. And it really took no time at all to get used to my classes again, because they've really simplified it, to be honest with you. At least from
and I'm observing the same thing. I've played a couple of characters that I wasn't really digging before, that now they're way simpler to jump into. But then I have at least one character that I loved exactly the way he was. I finally got him the way I liked him, and now he doesn't even fill up his bar with abilities, and I'm just like, I gotta find a way for this to be exciting again.
Yeah, I mean, they've really simplified, depending on where you get your information from. I mean, you're doing like a 4 to 5 move rotation for
basically,
most people. At least I am, instead of just a full bar worth of stuff. Which to me, I'm not really upset with that, because I do like simplified rotations. Not to like a 1 or 2 button scheme, obviously, but if there's just 4 buttons, I'm totally fine with that. Just if all I have to do is just know when to use everything and timing, I'm okay with just having a very simplified rotation. But, that's about all the pre-patch offered. The big bulk of everything was the early access content that came out about a week or so ago, whereas they went ahead and made the Broken Shores scenario, which is basically the introductory scenario for, it's to introduce current players to Legion, because if I understand correctly, that this scenario won't be available once Legion drops, right?
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So it's kind of a pre-Legion scenario for everybody. It's available to anyone. And then, if you're if you're max level. And then Demon Hunter class, which is available to people who have pre-purchased the expansion, which I did back in like October. So I've had that waiting on me for a while. That you can now play as Demon Hunter. So we'll go ahead and go through this in order, because we kind of found out the hard way that we should have did the Broken Shores scenario before playing Demon Hunter, but we kind of did it backwards because we were so excited about playing Demon Hunter. So just for story's sake and whatnot, we'll go ahead and talk about the Broken Shores. Basically, you go to the Broken Isles to, I'll tell you what, Ian, I feel like one of you could probably explain this better than I could, because you're probably a little bit more familiar with the backstory.
With us going to the Broken Isles?
Yeah, like the Broken Shores in general.
Oh, well, I don't really know what you go to the Broken Shore and you try to fight the Legion. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I'm confused.
So we
Like,
get there and fucking aliens attack, right? Like, it's just like spaceships everywhere. Just goddamn Optimus Prime's there, and he's just like, Sam, get the glasses. It's pretty fucking cool. But
It's pretty crazy as a crossover. Okay, no. So both the Alliance and the Horde go to the Broken Shores. There's actually a version of the scenario available to both factions. It's more or less the same, but there's a couple of different things that change up here and there. So you go to the Broken Shores. Tyrion Fordring and the what's the name of his little clan?
Silver Covenant or whatever they're called. I don't remember.
Argent Dawn or something. I don't know. They've already went, because they're kind of like the first response team. They kind of always, like when stuff like this happens, a lot of times they'll go first, check it out. So they've already went. Haven't heard back from them in a while, so then the Alliance and Horde both go. The Alliance led by King Varian, the Horde led by Fulgen, the War Chief. So they get there, you go through the scenario. Right off the bat, very shortly into it, Tyrion dies, because you catch up to Gul'dan. He's got Tyrion held captive. He summons this huge monster. He tells him to kill Tyrion, and he just starts breathing all this fire or whatever onto him. And like Tyrion's death right then is so just, it's almost like I don't know how to explain it, because it's the same. What his words are is, "Don't worry, the light will." And then when the fire breaks through, he just has this just terrible scream as he dies and just falls
yeah,
down.
I shouldn't be laughing. I know you guys said that was like a feelsy moment for you, but like I'm just sitting here watching, because I remember I was talking to them while I was playing it, because they'd already played it, and I was sitting here watching, going, "Should I know who this is?" And they were just like, "It's Tyrion Fordring. He's got the fucking cool sword that does shit," and I was just like, I don't know this guy. Like, and then he's just like, "The light will." It's just like, light didn't do shit, buddy. God, that sucks.
Yeah, and that was kind of a big moment, because I mean Tyrion was a big player, especially like in Wrath of the Lich King. Now he hasn't really done much since then, but I mean he's still a big character in Warcraft lore in general, and it's the same light that he used to strike down Arthas at the very end of the Lich King expansion, at the very end of that raid, that just didn't do it for him this time, because they were in front of the Tomb of Sargeras and all that sort of stuff when it happened, and Gul'dan mentions that, but I mean he just dies, he gets killed just that quickly, and then you have to fight the monster that kills him, and you take him down, and then you move on, and then you have this is kind of where it branches out, because you have an Alliance and a Horde part of the rest of the scenario. Basically, the Horde's kind of holding off part of the Legion and like the air raids from the Legion, while the Alliance is taking the ground fight straight to Gul'dan. And the Alliance is actually winning for the most part. Like, Varian feels like they can actually win this thing as long as Sylvanas and her archers take down the air raids. Well, meanwhile, on the Horde side, the Horde are getting their ass whipped. I mean, by all...
Dude, it was pretty intense. It was like the biggest ass whipping I've ever seen for some of my favorite characters, realistically. Just like... I wanted a good metaphor, and then I didn't have one. So just take our word for it if you haven't seen this scene.
No, it's... Okay, my two favorite characters in Warcraft are Thrall and Vol'jin. And I got hit really hard with this upcoming...
So did Vol'jin.
Oh my god! So with the upcoming story, at one point Sylvanas, she's holding back the air raid from the Legion that's attacking Varian, and she turns around to look at the Horde. No, she hears a scream, and it sounds like Thrall. So she turns around and look at the Horde and see how they're doing. They're getting their ass whipped. Thrall is on the ground, like, crawling, because he looks like he just got, like, fucking knuckle fucked or something. I mean, he doesn't even have, like, he doesn't even have, like, Doomhammer anymore. He just
doesn't even know where it is. He's lost his wallet, his keys.
Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he's looking for Doomhammer. Like, hey, guys, just chill. Where's my hammer?
He's looking for his contacts.
But no, he looked like he just got the shit knocked out of him, and that's one of the rare times where you see Thrall kind of like in that state. It's a very quick scene, but it meant a lot to like me and Ian especially because we talked about that. And then the next thing you see is Vol'jin while he's fighting, he actually gets impaled by one of the Fel guards or something, trash mob really, and he's able to like fight them off. But then he collapses, breaks his tusk, and Sylvanas goes to collect him. He makes the comment of "Do not let the Horde die on this day," and she calls for the retreat. All right. So whereas on the Alliance side, they're like, "Yeah, we got this, guys. We're doing this. Tell Sylvanas to hold off the air raid, and we're going to win this fight." And then they hear the retreat horn that Sylvanas uses, and they're like, "Oh shit! They're just leaving us. They're leaving us here to die. They betrayed us." And that's how they see it. I mean, the Horde actually retreated because they're getting their ass whipped, but the Alliance thinks that the Horde just betrayed them. So then that turns the tide, and they go to it. The Alliance goes to retreat in their airship. One of the Fel Reavers reaches up, grabs the airship, and Varian basically throws himself down to take care of the Fel Reaver while the airship gets away, and ultimately dies. So he faces Gul'dan. He gets taken down by some Fel guards, and faces off with Gul'dan. Gul'dan hits him with some Fel energy or some magic or something and blows him up.
And he gets turned into some sort of
Don't even
creature.
fucking
He is not dead.
We are talking about the pre-patch. We're not talking about stupid ass theories that aren't gonna come out.
Listen,
I will say this about the Horde getting their ass kicked. At least like actually showing, even though it was for like a split second, like not even long enough that I noticed it until somebody brought it up. But like I think the scene with Thrall like crawling on the ground because he got knuckle fucked in Rhett's words it is the result of how many people complain about him always getting to beat the bad guy. I think Blizzard was finally like, all right, look, we got to take him down a notch.
Yeah, again, I actually do know some of the reasons for all that because I know I've been watching some of the like alpha and beta quest lines, stuff like that. But yeah.
well, I mean,
You know the reasons for what?
Like why Thrall got his ass kicked in that scene. Why he's getting his ass
you
kicked.
see, that's the thing. It
Don't
deserves
tell me
some.
that. I didn't know there was a reason other than he just got beat up by the Legion.
Well, I mean, that could be the reason. He could have just got beat up.
Well, now I think there's more to it than what I saw.
It
So
could have
Well,
been.
I will say
You don't
this.
know it wasn't one of the people that was there for the Legion. Just was stronger than him. Like
It deserves some explanation because I know people don't want any one character to be just this unstoppable Mary Sue, and so they do have to turn the tides every now and then. But they also do need to do it in a way that is consistent and makes sense because you can't build Thrall up to be this unstoppable Billy badass that can hold the fucking Maelstrom open with his bare goddamn hands, and then him just getting knuckle fucked on the battlefield. Like it does have to have an explanation. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I didn't think of it like that because, yeah, I mean, I love Thrall, and Thrall is, green
Bay.
Jesus, and we've seen that. But, I mean, I just took it as, like, the Legion, whatever faction, whatever group of the Legion that the Horde were fighting, were just so powerful that they're just taking down, like, the Horde's biggest, most strongest members, such as Vol'jin and Thrall. I didn't think of it anything more than other than the fact that Thrall just got the shit knocked out of him at one good point, like, got one good shot in on him or something, and he's just out of it for a moment. So I didn't really think too much about it other than they were just getting overpowered. But to basically continue the story, so we've lost Tyrion, we lost Varian, all at the Broken Shores. Vol'jin's not dead yet, but it does show a shortcut scene of him calling Sylvanas in and basically saying that the spirits, the Loa, have whispered him a name at Sylvanas and that she needs to step up and become war chief, and that's like literally his dying breath. And he dies as he says that, and then there's a little funeral scene with him and some different stuff like that. So in the fucking scenario to prepare us for Legion, we lost Tyrion Fordring, King Varian of Stormwind, and Vol'jin, the war chief of the Horde, who I guess we can go ahead and jump into this, has been war chief for all but 10 minutes. It hasn't done jack shit with it. Not his fault. It's just they haven't really given him a reason. Like, he didn't do anything in Warlords other than, hey, man, enjoy your garrison. That's
General.
So, and that upsets me because Vol'jin is like I said, he's one of my top 3 favorite characters, and I was really excited to see what he could do as War Chief. I just got through audiobooking Vol'jin Shadows of the Horde, which was really, really good. It's a Pandaria book that takes place during the events of Pandaria, after he gets betrayed by Garrosh and before the fall of Garrosh at Pandaria. And that book showed me like why he is the perfect choice for War Chief. Like, I was listening to it, and there's so much character development in that book that I'm like, yeah, he's the War Chief we need. He's the War Chief we deserve. I can't wait to see what he does in Legion, and he dies before Legion even comes out. So I'm really upset by that. Like, I literally, like, the whole next day, it affected me on a very emotional level because I think so much about Vol'jin that even the next day I sit there and watch that cutscene several times throughout the day, and I just couldn't. Like, I'm trying to find something. I'm like, there's got to be some kind of, as Ian would put it, tomfoolery going on with this. There's got to be something behind this, and I'm still not convinced there's not, because, like I said, I just don't feel like he had a good run as War Chief, and I feel like Sylvanas will do something very, very important, very kick-ass, I guess, during Legion as her run, but I just don't feel like his story's over with yet. Even if he is dead, he might come back in like spirit form or something, because the Trolls are very spiritual. They believe in the Loa, all this sort of stuff. So he has capability of coming back, but I am upset.
That's stretching it. That's unreasonable for him to come back. It doesn't make any sense. Varian, on the other hand.
Oh my God! It's like I said. It's like I had said earlier, if any of the races other than undead were cool with resurrection, it is the Trolls. And not to mention, we've seen Vol'jin himself negotiate with the lower spirit. I can't remember if it's the B word. It's the one about death. He's negotiated with that lower before to bring somebody back from the dead. So
yeah, that's actually in
it's
Shadows of the Horde. I'm trying to remember
It's Tirathan's the one he brings back.
Yeah, Tirathan's the one he brings back. Well, he hasn't quite died yet, but he's basically telling him, like, no, you can't take him. But yeah, he does work out a negotiation, basically, to make sure Tirathan stays alive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It might be just wishful thinking, but I'm really hoping Vol'jin comes back somehow, some way. He doesn't necessarily even have to be alive. I just want to see him again. But, God, his run as War Chief is just so disappointing, and I blame Blizzard before I blame anybody, because, like, what the fuck? Like, that was the whole reveal, in my opinion. That was the whole big reveal at the end of Mr. Pandaria, was him becoming War Chief. The whole cutscene revolves around him becoming War Chief after you beat Garrosh. And then he had a whole, saying a whole expansion is kind of a stretch. He had like a half expansion after that with Warlords of Draenor, because that did not feel like a full expansion. But he had an expansion after that where he could have done something, and he was very much absent from that. And then when we see him again, he gets struck down. So I'm upset about that. Varian dying, I think we all saw coming before it even happened. I think we all knew that was going to happen. Ian, I knew you did because you've read all the spoilers already, or most of them. But that wasn't surprising, but it still didn't make it any easier to watch because he went out like a champ.
Yeah, like a fucking boss.
Like a boss. I mean, his that scene is so powerful, honestly, because he's at his knees up against Gul'dan, and Gul'dan's like, "You'll be remembered as a king who died for nothing." And Varian, just like in his last seconds, looks at him and says, "For the Alliance," and then just takes his punishment and dies. And
you see Gul'dan just visibly just like, you fucker. Like,
yeah, and you can actually just see the pain Varian's going through during like his death. It's kind of hard to watch. At least it was for me, because I'm such a big lore fan. I'm not even a big Varian fan, but damn, that was tough, But we all knew that was going to come. I was completely caught off guard by Tyrion, which, like I said, Tyrion hasn't even been like relevant since Wrath.
And I think that's part of why I was just like I knew who he was realistically, because like I have a series of comics that explains how he gets the Ashbringer and things like that. But outside of that, I don't have any emotional connection to the character because I'm a little bit out of the loop when it comes to World of Warcraft lore. But like it was just like, oh hey, I know this guy. This guy's cool. Oh, he's dead. He's dead.
Like, I don't really have any kind of emotional attachment to him either, but once it happened, now I was kind of like, oh shit, they just killed Tyrion.
Yeah.
Like, he's Tyrion's dead, you know? So it was a big enough moment for that. So moving forward with Legion, which Ian, I know you've read into it already, you know quite a bit about it. So much has already happened. Like, this is probably the most intense experience I've already felt for an expansion, and the expansion's not even out yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like story-wise, you know? So it's a hell of a way to kick it off, because you've definitely got my attention if you didn't have it before. So I'll say that much. But, so yeah, it starts off pretty hardcore with a story. I can't wait to see how it unfolds from here on out. The next thing that introduces is the invasions, which are a cool little, what's the word I'm looking for here? They're not really scenarios. They're not really...
they're shit. They're like dynamic
They're
events.
shit.
No. That's not what I meant. They're like dynamic events, because I know that, you know, Guild Wars 2 and that Final Fantasy MMO, whichever number they were at with that one, introduced the dynamic event type thing where, you know, you'll have shit happen out in the world that's sort of like just an ongoing active multiplayer quest, and I guess that's what I would describe it as.
Yeah. It's really cool. Like, me and Ian was talking about the other day how we're probably going to miss it whenever it's gone, whenever Legion actually drops, because it is a pre-launch event. And basically there's, I think, a total of 6 zones that span between Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms that will has the potential to get invaded. And these invasions last... now they last 2 hours apiece, and there's 3 at a time going on. Before it was 4 hours apiece with 2 at a time. But yeah, you can just go fly straight to that zone, participate in the invasion. There's 4 stages to it. It is set up kind of like a scenario type thing once you get there, and you have both factions, Alliance and Horde, fighting. You're fighting Legion Demon Lords, Legion just guards, all sorts of stuff. It's actually a really cool just collective event. And I really enjoy it, you know, and it's a good way to level up some lower level characters that we found here recently, and especially Chase. I mean, you've hit a Death Knight straight to 100 pretty much in just
like a week, yeah.
Yeah, just doing invasions mostly. So
I will say this about the invasions: like, once you've done 1, maybe 2, you've done them all. Like, they're cool, but it's like a one and done, and then they're fucking boring. But after that, like Rhett said, it's a busted ass way to level. Like, you get a shitload of experience.
Yeah, your experience mostly. The experience of the actual invasion itself mostly isn't going to change from one to the other. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. You're going to get there and do the same thing as you did in the last one. But I mean, it's cool because I mean, it's just it's made me go to different parts of Azeroth that I don't go to anymore. Like Azera, the place behind Orgrimmar. I never go freaking Crossroads. I haven't been there in a while. And it's cool to see like a reason to go back there. As Alliance or Horde, for that matter. So,
well, I think my favorite element of it is, you see, my first MMO ever was, well, I guess my first MMO ever was Guild Wars 1, but my first real subscription MMO was City of Heroes. And City of Heroes had these things called the Rikti invasions that everybody got excited for, which worked almost the exact same way. Like, just fucking core areas of the world being attacked, and that's where people already were anyway, so there were tons of people participating, and really good XP. So one thing I really appreciated about this is, you know, I like WoW, but a big thing that I've always complained about is that, like, as people play it, the lower level content just turns dead. Like, just like the general starting areas and the any area that doesn't literally take place in a newer expansion continent just stays pretty fucking boring and lacking people that are willing to talk to one another and play with one another. And I think that's really cool, is that it really forces that element of, like, really showing off how active the game still is by forcing people. I nearly said young and old, but what I meant was of any level to play together. I think that's my favorite element of it, is that it's a level scaling system. So, like, you've got me sitting over here riding around on my damn fucking four-wheeler because I can't fly yet, but, you know, like, I'm able to participate with all these other people fighting off the Legion, and I think that's super cool.
Yeah, that is actually a really awesome mechanic. That's getting really introduced in Legion, because the Broken Shores, or the Broken Isles, I'm sorry, which is the new area, that's how it's going to work. Instead of each zone being a particular level like it has been in the past, the zones will actually scale with you as you level up, and you can do them with somebody at a completely different level and it just works out the same way. It's a really interesting mechanic, and I feel like this is kind of a test run of that of sorts, because it's exactly how, like you said, that's exactly how the invasions are working. I mean, it's pretty awesome because I've got, like with a new character, I'll do invasions at level 20, level 30. I'm able to just sit there and participate almost as much as like a level 100,
Yeah.
And that's the way the enemies will appear. Like, the enemies will appear to them at the same level, like level 100, but they appear to me as like level 20, level 30, just whatever you are. So it scales with you, and it's really awesome, really interesting. And I'm really excited about that whenever Legion actually drops, because, I mean, like, in the past, like when we tried to play together, we had to, some of us will get further along, and we had to take a break with that character while waiting for the other ones to catch up. Whereas we can play at our own pace with this expansion.
Yeah, it makes me wish the whole game worked that way, to be honest. Like, because I just think that that's really cool, and I wish more games would adopt a system like that.
I'm curious about that system because, like, we can go to any zone and just start playing together. There's no level caps on it. But, like, what if I'm already halfway through this quest line, and then Jesse's like, "Hey, you want to go to this zone and play?" And I'm just like, "Oh shit, I've done half the zone already." Like, he'll still have to catch up to me in quest line, right?
Yeah. Like, if I wanted to just if I just wanted to play with people, like, because that's the thing, I can still get experience by just fucking fighting enemies alongside you. Like, if I was just like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" and you're like, "Oh, I'm halfway through with this quest line," like, I could just be like, "Okay, I'm just gonna play with you anyway." Like, if I wasn't going to get tore up about not getting those quests because I hadn't started them, I could just fight alongside with you anyway and go back and do them later. Or vice versa, if you wanted to, like, jump in on me on that, like, if you really wanted to pick up the first couple of quests, I'd go back and do that for you. Because more than anything, I just want to make that grind more enjoyable for me. So, like, instead of having that element of being like, "Oh, well, I'm," like in fucking Pandaria, "Well, I'm one level higher than you, so I'm a mile away doing other shit." Like, we don't have to deal with that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah. So, we'll have to see how it all works out overall, especially, like, with the quest progression, but I am excited about this new method of leveling.
Yeah, for real.
So I'm excited to see how that works out.
I want to see them to continue to do stuff like these invasions in some way, even though I know these are ending. But I like this event, and I hope that they use that template for other stuff in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it does get repetitive, and it gets kind of tiring now. But it would be cool just to have them around. So if I do get bored and I just want to go level a character, I can just go participate in these things. Like right now we're grinding them out because we're trying to take advantage of them while we can until they stop when Legion drops.
Yeah.
And that gets kind of repetitive, it gets kind of boring, but if we're just playing the game casually and maybe we're kind of bored, we don't want to do anything specific, I'd be like, "Oh, well, I can just go level up this other character I've got and go participate in some invasions."
Instead of running in circles in my gears.
Basically, yeah. So,
hey, if you ever need tips on that, I know the sweetest spots.
Yeah, I think you're currently typing up a game FAQ for that, aren't you?
Yeah. My book will be published soon.
Yeah, I know it's like a book format, so look for that on Kindle. But anyway,
I think it's also an Audible, isn't it? Narrated.
Yeah,
I think it's narrated by like William
Morgan
Dafoe.
Freeman. William Dafoe.
It's just Morgan Freeman going, "So there's a spot over here by the shaman stone. You're going to go in a figure 8 and do it again."
Chapter 1, the final chapter. But prologue, the final chapter. But so that pretty much takes care of the Broken Shore stuff and the invasions. We'll go ahead and jump into the new class of Demon Hunter. I know that I've been looking forward to this for a minute. I'm pretty sure Ian has. I guess Jesse. Well, Jesse, haven't even.
Yeah, I didn't pre-order, so like I will make one at some point, and I think they look cool. I'm just more focused on leveling some of these other characters that I've been wanting to level, but I am going to play one because they do look cool. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. Ian, do you want to talk about Demon Hunter? Because I feel like you've probably know more about it than I do.
Nah, not really.
Okay, that's cool.
No, I'm just kidding. I really, really love Demon Hunter. I've been playing it since they came, early access. I'm one of the few people who's actually playing Vengeance instead of Havoc, but I'm fucking loving it. I do miss a couple of the attacks that Vengeance gets, that Havoc gets that Vengeance can't use, like I-beams and Blade Dance, but other than that, I've been really heavily enjoying Demon Hunter. I really like their starting scenario too. Starts off. Can we talk about how they start off? I'm assuming.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that either. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Demon Hunters start off, they have a little cinematic of Illidan watching Black Temple get raided by us, back then and everything like that, pretty much. And he turns to his Demon Hunters. He's like, y'all go on to Mardum, which is this planet where one of the Legion's main planets. It's like, y'all go on to Mardum and fight there. I'll take care of stuff here. So you go through a portal, you leave Illidan behind, and you go with the Illidari to Mardum, and you pretty much take over Mardum. Like throughout the process, the whole starting scenario, you're taking the fight straight up to the Legion. And when it's all said and done, you manage to take the Fellhammer at the end of it, which is like this intergalactic spaceship. And you're like, all right, let's go see how Master Illidan's doing. And you go, it shows another cinematic, you going back to Black Temple, and Illidan's captured. And you're like, fuck!
It's just three dudes taking selfies with his corpse.
Almost. And they're just like, we gotta avenge the Master, and you start attacking the Watchers, and you kill a couple of them in the cinematic, but then Maiev stops you, and she's just like, you will be held captive by your own blood, and she takes you prisoner with Illidan, and that's the whole first part of the scenario. Then the second part is you escaping the Vault of the Wardens, because Maiev realizes that to save the Azeroth, she's gonna have to free the Demon Hunter. So she frees you. You fight your way out. Gul'dan takes Illidan's body somewhere, and then you go and join the Alliance and/or Horde.
Yep, and that's how the Demon Hunters get introduced into Azeroth. I will say, if anybody's interested in some little extra reading, I did audiobook the Illidan book that came out in April. That was actually the first Warcraft book I audiobooked here recently, and it does explain quite a bit, honestly, about what went on during Illidan's time in Outland. And you learned in that book that he started working on his Demon Hunter army pretty early into the Outland adventures, and that's kind of where the Demon Hunters came from. Because I know, like me, before I started reading that book or anything, I'm just kind of like, playing as Demon Hunter's cool, but why? Like, why do they exist? And I didn't really know anything about it. Then I audiobooked that, and it explained that he was working on them already. And like Ian said, he did send the whole Demon Hunter clan off to Mardum to take care of the Fellhammer and all that stuff there, while he handled the Black Temple very poorly, because when you get back, he's been defeated. So, but yeah, I mean, Demon Hunter is really fucking fun to play. I play Havoc, the DPS, and it's God, they're pretty powerful already, because they start off at level 98. That's pretty fucking high, and they're I really don't know what else to say other than it's just a lot of fun. I mean, a very simplified rotation. The moves, they got a double jump. They can even glide.
Speaking of which, I know this veers away from Demon Hunter discussion a little bit, but like they have added a lot of really cool mobility abilities for a lot of the other classes as well. Like that's something cool, because like I saw that double jump and I was like, that's really awesome. But like, it makes it to where I'm only going to be able to get to cool shit with like Demon Hunters. But like my Shaman's got like a fucking tornado jump now. So like I just think that's kind of neat. Anyway, you were going to say something.
What I was going to say was this kind of talking about Demon Hunters. Demon Hunters are extremely fast-paced. Not a whole lot goes really to their rotations per se, but they are super fast-paced and they're super movable. They have a lot of mobility. So I think that's one of the things that makes them super fun, is the fact that they are, like, you can be jumping around the screen while you're fighting as them. Even in the tank spec, I'm always jumping around and stuff, and they're just really fun and active class.
That sounds cool.
You're always jumping, period. Even if we're running from like one boss to the next, you're just jumping and gliding your whole.
God's so fucking fun. I'm just like
faster too.
Yeah, and then you also have the Fell Rush, which just sends your guy just sprints forward very quickly.
You have Fell Rush in Havoc. In Vengeance, you have Infernal Strike, which is kind of like a Warrior's Heroic Leap. You just like.
Oh, that's that thing you've been. Yeah, okay, I've seen you do that before.
Yeah, that replaces Fell Rush.
But then do you have what's it called, Eye Blast or whatever.
No, that's what I was saying earlier. The two main things I miss from Havoc is Eye Beam and Blade Dance. I miss both of those attacks.
Yeah, but you also, I mean, like you said, Vengeance has some pretty sweet moves too.
Yeah, like I really like Infernal Strike. Demon Spikes is cool. I like the metamorphosis for the Vengeance because it's looks like Diablo.
It
Yeah.
straight up looks just like Diablo.
Now,
Like,
how,
I mean, same model.
now, how can my panda become a demon hunter?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jesse. It can't. So
I'm glad you asked, Jesse. We have teamed up with Blizzard, and for a third time.
no, but you can have a demon hunter on either faction. You can either have a night elf or a blood elf demon hunter, and that's also cool. So, but that's the only two races that you can choose from right now, and that makes sense. Like, you shouldn't be able to pick anything else at the moment, or period, for that matter. But what I was going to say was, like, one problem I thought I was going to have with Demon Hunter was it being a new class. I thought whenever they got released, and this might be the case when the actual expansion drops, but at least for now, I thought when it got released, it'd be like, God, you're going to see nothing but Demon Hunter. And there's probably more around than I realized, but honestly, I have not paid attention. Like, it's not like a noticeable thing to me. Like, I see quite a few, don't get me wrong, because it's a new class, everybody's trying it out, but not enough to where I'm just like, man, it's just Demon Hunter party now. You know, I don't know how.
You must not have ran Raid Finder or Dungeon Finder much then.
I will say this in response to that as well. So I do hope it's not overwhelmed with demon hunters, but like whenever I was doing shit for reputation on Rasta, like all I ever saw in Tanan was demon hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that might be my problem then, because I have done a lot of low level character leveling, and obviously Demon Hunter's not going to be available at these low levels. So that might be my problem, because a lot of the content I've been running lately have been old, just low level content. So maybe that's why I haven't noticed them. Actually, that makes a lot of sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, jump on your max level and get in a Dungeon Finder, and I guarantee you the tank and 2 of the 3 DPS, if you're queuing as DPS, will all be Demon Hunters.
Okay. Well, I guess I stand corrected then in that regard. To jump back to something I mentioned earlier about the order you need to do this new content in, is because we were so excited. I know me, Ian, and Chase were so excited about Demon Hunter that's the first thing we did whenever it became available, along with the Broken Shores scenario. And the way it is you do the Demon Hunter stuff, you go to Martyrdom, all that sort of junk, and then when you come back to Azeroth, if you're Horde, I don't know what the Alliance side does, but if you're Horde, it immediately jumps into like the cutscene of Vol'jin dying, and you're like, "What the fuck? Like, what happened to him?" You know, because like I said, he gets struck down at Broken Shores, and there's a cutscene after you guys get back of him appointing Sylvanas as war chief and all that. So I saw that, I'm just like, What's going on with you, Vol'jin? What's happening, buddy? You're not looking too good, because he looks fucked up. Like, when you see him, like one of his tusks is broke off, his eyes like all blind. One of them he's got this big just wound. I'm just like, what? Something's gone. And honestly, at first I thought it was something that happened like off screen. Like, I thought it was story I had to go back and read somewhere. But then Ian was like, no, just play Broken Shores. You'll see what happened. And then I did. And so that's like the wrong order to do it in if you're concerned with story. And they don't explain that to you. Like, no one ever tells you, do Broken Shores first, then Demon Hunter. So if you're listening now, you've had everything spoiled for you anyway, but that's the order you should play it in if you're trying to keep in.
Tell your friends that haven't.
Tell your friends about it.
What order?
But Demon Hunter has been a lot of fun so far. I don't really have any gripes about it yet. I don't think Ian or Chase does. You guys have any gripes about Demon Hunter?
No, I'm enjoying the fuck out of them. They're really strange, because even in their tank spec, they're still kind of sort of glass cannons. Like, they can take a lot of damage, and they don't have a whole lot of defense against it because they're wearing leather. But they also have they have a lot of survivability in the fact that they can heal themselves by attacking. So even though they don't have a lot of defense, they have a lot of survivability anyways. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they are very hard to out DPS.
Yes. Yeah. So far it's been a blast with all this pre-expansion content. And the last thing we'll talk about before we wrap up this episode is the expansion is not even out yet, and they've already announced patch 7.1, which is pretty awesome, at least to me, because it's the return to Karazhan. And if anybody else has been playing for a while, Karazhan's a very interesting place. I know a lot of people really like the raid, or is it a raid or a dungeon? It's a raid.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people really like the raid there. I like it to an extent. I still don't care for that chess game so much. I don't mind the concept behind it, but I don't like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel that.
But excuse me. But I'm super excited about going. Like Dalaran's already been moved. It's moved from Northrend to right above Karazhan, and it's going to get moved to Broken Isles later on. So right now, Dalaran is above Karazhan, which I think it's still in Northrend too as well. There's two
it
versions,
is.
But
yeah.
but and then like one thing me and Ian noticed, like when the pre-patch came out, was that they have done some work on the Karazhan Crypts, which, if anybody's familiar, is an area that's been in the game since vanilla, but has never been used. You can YouTube videos on how to get into this place, because you're not supposed to be able to get into it, because it looks like it was like a dungeon or something that just got abandoned and never touched. And we went back and checked it out after the pre-patch and noticed they had done a little bit of work to it. So they announced with this pre-patch, or the new patch, that there's going to be a new Karazhan, a non-boss 5-man dungeon.
Mega dungeon
For Karazhan. That's fucking crazy. And I think there's like a little mini raid or something kind of there too. And and the original dungeon or the original raid is going to remain there too. So you can do that if you want to for transmog gear or whatever, and still do the new content. And I personally think they're going to actually finally use this Karazhan Crypt stuff as part of the mega dungeon.
Yeah,
and that's pretty exciting. It's kind of set up weird. Like if you go and explore it, there's places there where you're like, okay, I can see this being like a boss room, or I can see this hallway being full of mobs. It's set up perfectly for that. But the structure as a whole is odd, so I'm curious to see what they do with it. But I'm almost like 90% sure that area is going to be included into the mega dungeon.
Some way. Yeah.
And I'm super excited. There's the trailer. There's a little quick trailer where you're Morose. If you guys aren't familiar with him, look him up. But he's talking about the Master coming back. A lot of speculation as to who the Master could be. Me and Ian, I think Chase probably too, are under the impression that it's more than likely Medivh. But I've heard other things since then. Some people think it might be actually Kill Jaden, or somebody, or the Print. Goddamn, I can't remember his name again. The guy at the end of the original raid.
Yeah, like Prince Malchazar or some shit like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah, it could be him. So, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, they haven't even come up with the expansion yet. They've already announced the first patch, and the first patch looks awesome. So, goddamn, like if I wasn't excited, like I said, I've been excited for Legion for a while, and it just keeps adding on. So, and I think they're actually going to take their time with this, because Blizzard seems like they're kind of like getting away from that one expansion per year format they've went on the past few years. So I think they're actually going to take their time with Legion, which is fine. They need to.
Oh, yeah.
They stated in the Q&A that they think a good 4 to 5 months in between major patches is a good, in between raid tiers is a good wait, and I think that I agree to that. I think that's a good, wait a couple months, put it out.
Yeah, and just constantly keep it going. See, like with Warlords of Draenor, it was awesome as fuck for the first month, but after a month into it, you were done. Unless you wanted to run Hellfire Citadel or something, you're pretty much done with that expansion. So
and another point that I'll bring up real quick is something I told y'all the other night, but the fact that they already have 7.1, they're already working on it, and they have everything kind of planned out for it and everything, gets me super excited, because with Draenor, they were taking it one patch at a time, and that kind of made the story a little, in my opinion, a little bit lackluster. And with them being able to know what they're doing before they go into it, I think that's going to give them a better chance to make it better all around, make the story better, make the dungeons better, make everything better, because they won't have to focus so much on trying to come up with, oh shit, well they didn't like that character in that patch, well in this patch we're going to kill them off, how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to do it this way. They've already got it planned out. They already know what they're doing. So yeah. I think that's got me excited.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that they were planning this expansion out as Warlords came out. I think they were putting maybe they were putting more effort into this expansion while Draenor was or Warlords of Draenor was in was the current expansion, because that felt like such an incomplete expansion, whereas this one feels like it's just so much shit. And we haven't even talked about like some of the other content that we're already aware of that's going to come out in this expansion. We just talked about some of the stuff that's been announced or been done so far. So there's a lot of shit. This is a great time to be a Warcraft player, because this expansion, I have very high hopes for it, and the first like month prior to the actual release has not let me down yet. I mean, not let me down at all. It's actually got me way more excited because some of this pre-patch or pre-expansion stuff they're doing is amazing. So, but yeah, Return to Karazhan, go ahead.
To jump off of that, if you're only a casual WoW player, just all the mechanical changes have made it a lot more fun for me. Like, for the first time in a while, I feel like I actually have an opportunity to level up a bunch of classes that I haven't really fucked around with in a while. So I feel like that might also be appealing to you guys on the fence about it.
Yeah, and I can make the same argument for new Warcraft players, because I actually had a buddy of mine that said, kind of recently, actually, he was like, I'd love to play WoW, but I've never played before, and it's been out for so long that I just don't know what I'd be doing. I don't want to take the time to get used to my classes and everybody else is used to it. And I'm like, with the pre-patch, they actually reset the classes anyway, so everyone's having to get used to the classes. So it is kind of still a new experience to everybody to an extent. So I think now's a really great time, even if you haven't played and you're interested in it, to jump in.
Yeah, I agree.
So. And to bounce off what you were saying, I mean, I am currently leveling a rogue and a death knight, and this is just two complete new classes to me. So this is giving me an excellent opportunity to do that as well. So, yeah, right now it's fucking awesome. I don't really know how else to put it. But if anybody got anything to add to Warcraft?
I don't think so.
I'm just excited to see Varian come back as an Infernal.
Oh my god.
I have a very thought out theory that he will be the new Lich King. So, but we'll get into that somewhere down the road. I'm lying, by the way. I have no theories as such. I know you guys want to take me. I don't know if our listeners do. So just to clarify, I am fucking around. I think he's dead. I think if anybody has a chance to come back, it's probably Vol'jin. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll wait and see. That being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up. I think that does it for the 13th episode. Social media information, I'll let you guys go ahead and give out how people can keep up with you if they're interested in doing so. Ian, you can go first.
You can find me at facebook.com/fightonforjustice or at Twitter at justicegaming75. Those are the two main places. That's the main place to catch up with me. I post on there periodically, and yeah.
Cool. Jesse?
I am Mr. J Gatsby on Twitter, so that's MRJGATZB, and I'm Gatsby on Facebook, so that's just GATZB.
Awesome. Chase, I know that before we have just narrowed it down and been like, yeah, Chase is just on Twitch if you want to watch him, but I saw you tweet something a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
so your Twitter is active.
I was about to say that. I was about to be like, yeah, you can catch me on Twitter. I think I posted a picture of my cat the other day for the first time in a month. That is at Super64, all completely spelled out. If you ever catch me anywhere else, it'll be here on the Twitch channel, which is Bro Up Live. And I've also got a new startup website called at 90s trailerreviews.com. So you can catch me there.
90s trailerreviews.com.
Yes. That's how bad it is.
#.
Yes, absolutely.
Actually, I think it's at 90s.geocities.com or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll link that. Never. But and as for myself, you can catch me on Twitter, Facebook, just whatever else at I am Tensaken. That's pretty much the main two that I use, so whatever. And then of course on I'm finally back on the Sunday streams. I've been streaming with these guys on World of Warcraft lately, so hopefully more of that in the future. Just not so much World of Warcraft, but just me being on part of the Sunday streams in general. So that's been a lot of fun. And then as far as Bro Up is concerned, you can keep up with us at, I know I have our YouTube and our Twitch pulled up, twitch.tv/BroUpLive, youtube.com/BroUpGames. I don't have anything else pulled up. What else?
Facebook.com/bro.opgames.
Yes, Facebook. And that's like the main three, right?
Yeah, that's
Twitter.
That's her, yeah.
Do we have a Twitter? We have a Twitter.
We have a Twitter. That one's Bro Up Games.
Yeah, Bro Up Games. At Bro Up Games on Twitter. And as always, guys, be sure to check out our stuff. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing back from you. If you have suggestions for podcasts, anything, just hit us with it. We'll take them into considerations. We love hearing back from you guys. If you fucking hate us, let us know. I mean, hell, every little thing matters.
We'll block you.
We'll block you. We'll block your ass. We'll come find you.
And as for suggestions, we always appreciate them. I know sometimes we get suggestions that are things that we just feasibly can't do, but it doesn't mean we don't appreciate getting them. For example, we've had a lot of people offer the use of their servers for us to play Starbound on, since we're still picky just fools and try to figure out how we can do that in such a way to play with fans. We appreciate all of those offers, and we'll get back to you. But as of right now, we're probably not looking at doing that at the moment. But thank you so much for being so generous with that input.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for joining us on this episode. So until next time, take it easy.
See ya.
Adios.
Boom, 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 boom.
and then I'm just gonna let you. I'm gonna let you beatbox the outro for this, so that I don't have to put it in manually.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 suck a fat dick, baby. Whatever the word is that's in that song.